Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 21 of the Empowered Hearts podcast. How are you guys doing today? How are you doing, Krystle?
I'm really good today for
Good.
the first time in a long time.
Krystle and I were just talking about how the past 3 weeks of Krystle's life has been challenging and like weird. And that's
Yeah,
not Krystle's energy.
no.
Krystle's like a very light, fluffy, like not that sounds weird. Like like she's light and fluffy like a marshmallow, but like your energy is very high vibrational and it's light and you're like you put up with a lot of shit, but you just like are like you surrender to it, like you kind of just flow through things and you
Yeah.
have been challenged majorly.
Oh, it was terrible. And it was like, I don't even want to say that it was gradual. And it was like not a change in like mindset or like anything like that. It was just like life all of a sudden felt so hard and like no joy,
Yeah.
no joy. It was hard to find and tap into like that gratitude energy and the the ease, the flow, the surrender, the trust, like all those beautiful aspects of this journey. It was like there was none of that. I
Yeah.
felt like treading deep water and it just kept going and going and going, and it was really hard. And you were going through something similar now.
Yeah. Um so we were gonna talk about judgment today and how
Yeah.
judgment is a mirror of self. But we decided to actually change course due to this going on in each of our lives. And we really think it'll be beneficial for you guys listening because it's going to be a really raw and vulnerable conversation today around grief,
Yeah.
navigating grief on the whole. And I am navigating grief right now. Um, yeah, so like Krystle was going through it the past couple weeks, I'm now
Yeah.
going through it, and
Yeah.
I've been going through it for the past 3 months, if not a little bit longer, and it's just reformed back to grief. Like the grief settled a little bit and like kind of halted. I guess I found a way to kind of deal with it. And then I stirred it up again and it's hit me like a ton of bricks again. So we thought it would be wonderful to share with you guys what like grief looks like in the face of healers, being healers and navigating grief, and what it looks like for people who like work with feelings already. And like, so we wanted to show you how it's possible and that you're not alone in anything you're navigating.
Yeah, I think there's like this um foggy belief that healers or people who have access to like higher levels of frequency and energy don't go through the hardness of grief or pain or heartbreak or any of those really challenging emotions, but we are all human and we are all equipped with emotion and we all feel that entire spectrum of emotion. It's like you can't sidestep it.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to share that piece too, because I feel like it's really important just to know that we are all human and we are all going to go through it
Yeah.
in multiple points of our life. Like if we, just a little side topic or like an example is we understand death, we understand the soul path and all that, but it doesn't mean that when someone leaves this earth that it's not still really hard.
Yeah. Or when we're hurt, you know,
Yep. Yep.
it being working in the, I guess, industry of emotions and being space holders for others, it does mean that like we understand emotions. I feel like on a more I don't know if at like a deeper level it would be, but like we have we have an understanding of like, we have a conscious understanding, we have a subconscious understanding, we have a feeling understanding, like our body, we've understood how to alchemize,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if that makes it more challenging when we're going through something because we understand what the work that needs to be done. Like I understand the only way that I'm going to get through this is if I like bawl my eyes out for consecutive days and feel this pain so raw and
Yeah.
hold space for myself. Like I'm not like grasping to get above water. I'm like letting myself drown a little bit.
Yeah.
And because that's what I know I need to do. And like I'm not fighting against it. I'm in it. I've dove head first in it.
Well, then let's talk about how hard that is because a couple weeks ago you were on cloud 15
Yes.
and everything felt so good. And you're like, this what joy feels like? Like, is this how good life can get? And I'm like, yes, this is it. And then it's like, boom.
Well, okay, so let's explain to people what's going on. So I will do my best not to cry, guys, but I might. So earlier this year, I had I was harassed sexually by somebody very important to me, an authority figure. I won't go into details who it was. I don't think that's important, but an authority figure that I looked up to, that I had respect for, and that was in my close proximity of my life. And I gave myself a little bit of time to thinking that that I was okay. And the longer that I spent in close proximity with this person, the more that my mental health declined. And like, because I'm conscious and because I'm self-aware, I was watching myself, like observing myself, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I was sleeping all weekend long. I couldn't eat properly. I was getting more depressed and more depressed and more depressed. And eventually I had to make a very drastic change in my life and cut ties with this person. And naturally, I was very depressed after. I was bedridden.
You slept for days and days and days.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Like when your body finally felt safe and was able to like
Yeah.
go a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I slept for 3 weeks. It was wild. But I expected that. I was like, okay, I expect this, like this, I understand that this is what needs to happen. I didn't resist it. Was I happy about this? Absolutely not. This was like, I have been through my fair share of trauma in my life, and I have alchemized it. This is why I got into the business of helping people, because I'm like, I get how much bullshit this trauma is and how people are not helped properly. And then to witness myself go through it was is wild. Like, especially when you have the tools. And I'm sure I would be in a lot worse situation if I didn't have all the tools that I have, if I wasn't aware, if I didn't have hypnosis, if I didn't have you, if I didn't have just all of the healthy tools, right? Like I probably would be on a bunch of medication and not be good. But even still, trauma can still sneak in to the people that are equipped with the most tools and are have worked on their trauma from childhood. Like it can still slip in. And so, yes, I was doing very well, or much better. I was doing much better. I was being able to reach joy. I came out and visited Krystle.
Yeah.
Great, great time. I saw the most beautiful place on earth in the
Mm.
world, like where she lives. And then I came and then on the full moon we just had
Yeah.
in Capricorn, which was all about transmuting trauma from the past 6 months, funny enough. And so I wrote a letter of forgiveness to this individual to try to release any more fear, pain, sadness that I was holding on to. And boy, has this just brought me right back to where I was a couple months ago. And I just wanted to share, like, the stages of grief are really fucking hard. Like, it is not easy. It is not easy. And Krystle today read me the stages of grief, because when you're in the thick of it, you don't like, you're not like, oh, I'm aware of all these tools. Like we forget.
We do. And I would just like to say that something that I think is really important to understand about trauma, and trauma could be literally anything, but like it could be like somebody passing away, it could be sexual abuse, it could be literally anything. When that happens, a lot of the time we go into protection mode, right? It's like our form of protection where we're like trying to comprehend what took place, not even like touching the emotions that we're feeling at that time. It's like, holy shit, something big just happened. I don't feel good physically. I want to push the entire world out. Like, let me just understand what's taking place.
Yep.
And then it's like, and then you're like in the next stage where you're like, okay, it's starting to sink in a little bit. But you haven't really tapped in to what you have like held energetically when one, this took place, when two, you were freed from the situation, but now that instant reaction that your body has around it is holding everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we move through the stages of grief, which like you did, okay, let's talk about the 7 stages of grief. So shock and denial is the first stage. So that's like where I say like all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, what has happened here?
Yeah.
Then you'll go into like the pain and the guilt of it.
Yep. And
Right?
there's a lot of like self-blame. Like even when my mother passed, this happened as well. It was just like a lot of blaming goes on,
Yeah.
and you were like, well, if I did this differently, and if this would have happened, and you really blame yourself.
Yeah. Anger and bargaining is the next stage.
Yeah.
The anger's real. It's real. Yeah. And then one thing that I've learned about anger is it's really just disguised as sadness, which is your next stage, which is the depression stage. Right? And so when we go back to the initial shock of what has happened, and your body is storing more emotion and energetic like stagnancy that you realize, when you start to move through the stages and you get to the depression stage, in my opinion, is one of the most challenging because it's the heaviest.
Yeah.
It's like when we're in the shock of it, it's like when somebody's in shock, they don't feel the pain, they don't feel that stuff.
Yeah.
Anger is
Ooh.
like an outward energy, right? An outward, like, I'm angry at you, you did this to me. But when you're in depression, it is so heavy and dense.
Yeah.
And like that's what you said when you're like, I'm kind of just letting myself sink into it. It's like it's the only way.
Well, I know this is the only
Yeah.
way. I know that like I knew that when you suggested for me to write this letter that it was necessary, and I couldn't even tap into the gravity of feelings at your house, which tells me that I was numb from them, because I was still feeling fear, I was feeling anxiety, but I wasn't like, I didn't have this like gravitational pull of, oh my God, my heart's so broken. And so that was definitely a telltale sign, right? Like the numbing part of it. And then I came home and I was it's just smacked me in the face. And
Well, interesting because you it's been like how many months since this has happened, and a lot of people will think, oh, I feel great, life is amazing, life is so good. And then you go back, this is how we can tell that we've like released everything, is if we go back to that point, surface it, if we still have emotions attached, there's still shit
yeah,
underneath.
and I know this,
Yeah.
right? I know this, and I would never like, I know that this is the only way through, is to feel all of it, because if not, I'm just going to carry this with me into the next thing I do in my life. And then I'm always going to have resentment, and that's going to harbor on my health. And so for people listening, like, grief is not easy, and it comes in stages, and it can come in, I think the stages can actually like cross, like they can,
And then back and
yeah, go
yeah,
back. You go back and then you're at a different one. And like I was feeling like, well, I was feeling good, but I knew if I still had fear that I wasn't done. And so
yeah.
I have, people might think I'm nuts for doing this to myself, but I really want to be free from this. And the only way to be free from the chains of pain, grief, sadness, anything that like happens to us, is to face it head on.
Go through it. The only way out is through every single time.
Every
And so this is why like antidepressants in this situation are not going to serve your highest good, because really all you're doing is continuing to suppress what is asking to be felt.
I would
And
love to talk about this. This is such a good conversation.
let's talk about just the magnitude of emotion and how scary it is to have to go down that path and to feel all that stuff. Like a lot of people just they don't want to.
No, I don't want to either.
Nobody wants to feel
I,
this ever.
it's, but you're right, antidepressants. So essentially so I've been on antidepressants earlier in my life. Like I can speak to this honestly. And it wasn't great being on them, but it numbs you, but you're numb to the good as well.
Yeah.
Right? So in this scenario, now I'm not going to say like they're bad. I'm just going to explain what it would do. In this scenario, an antidepressant would like take this extreme feeling and calm it down, right? And as long as you're taking the pill, like it's going to just suppress it, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. But by never looking at something, that means it's always living in you. And some people are okay with that. Some people don't want to
Yep.
optimize their pain, and
Yep.
that's fine. There's no judgment either way. This is
Yep.
just what is.
Yep.
I want to be free of this situation. And the only way that I'm actually going to be free is if I look at it and don't take the antidepressants and don't numb myself with medication and whatever. Like it's the only way it's to feel it. But you can take antidepressants and feel as well. If you're actively doing something, to help yourself, you can use the antidepressants to like take the load off a bit. And you know what? I don't blame people for that.
Like
I
less severity. Yeah.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
lessen the burden a bit. And you know what? That's fine. I get it. This is just my path, and it's not right or wrong. It's just my path.
Well, I remember you saying in a past podcast that you had to learn, I think it was after you became sober, you had to learn that your emotions weren't actually going to kill you.
Yeah.
It was like as soon as you start to open the can, how big is this going to get?
Yeah.
Like, is this going to actually crush me? Because sometimes it feels like it actually could.
Yeah.
And this is why I love bringing the elements into us as people, because we are earth and water is emotion. And the density of emotion actually feels like the heaviness of water, which is extremely heavy. It feels like it can crush you at times. Like when you jump off a cliff and you land on the water, it's like concrete.
Yeah.
Right. And so learning in the safety of someone that can support you, I think, in a healthy way in the beginning, if you have like big trauma or grief, to learn that you can open it up a little bit and just, like start small.
Yep.
You don't have to just blow it wide open.
Yeah. I mean, I think here's why I'm choosing to feel this head on is I know that the only way to feel the upper level of emotions of like joy and unconditional love is to clear this. And
Yeah.
so I don't want to just live mediocrely, like living in, life's okay. I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. I want to feel joy. I want to feel love. I want to feel freedom. I want to feel unconditional love. And we we all have the capability of tapping into that, but only if we are willing to go to the depths on the other side, right? It like the pendulum swings equally both ways. So if you're only going to go a little bit into your pain, you're only going to be able to go a little bit into your joy. And that's or a little bit up the scale of vibration. You're not going to be able to reach joy. And this is wild, but yes, the past couple weeks prior to this, I tapped into joy for the first time in my life, and I was like, holy friggin' crap. Like
What is this?
I was like, I was like, I feel like I'm living, like people are could be listening are like, Morgan is bipolar. No, this is like we actually get to feel so excited about life.
Yeah.
Like it felt like the inside of my heart was going to explode out. Well, it was, and that anything that I touched turned to gold. Like I
Yeah.
wanted something, it manifested. I spoke something out to the universe, it manifested. Like
Mhm.
I was like, I want to fly first class. Boom, it came into my email. Fly first class for $99, which then ended up with tax was a 111.
Yeah.
Is this a joke? Okay.
This is how my, like, when you were talking about it, my guide showed me a visual of like a helium balloon with a weight on it. It's
Yep.
like the helium balloon floats and it just
Yes.
kind of stays there. It's just like, yeah, we're here. But
Yes. Ooh,
without alchemizing the weight,
yes.
that's where you're staying. Like you need to
Yes.
clear this out so you can ascend.
That is an analogy. Holy shit.
I know. I was
That's
like,
wonderful.
you're telling me this, and they show me like the weight, the helium balloon, the emotion, and the alchemy of the held, because that's literally what it is. It's like you're holding that emotion in your body until you decide that, okay, we're gonna surface this, something that's happened to you in your childhood as
Mhm.
a baby, even like there is like pieces that we store.
That is the best analogy I've ever heard. That's exactly what it is. And I want to just talk about a little bit about like how do we tangibly actually release that weight?
Yeah.
And a lot of it is really simple and really uncomfortable. And it's not distracting. So yes, numbing out to TV can be helpful, but that's just going to prolong, right? Like if you're in a depression and you need to do that, go for it. Like let your body do what it needs to do to relax. But then we have to turn the TV off. We have to turn our phone off and we have to lie or sit with ourselves and like hold ourselves or be held by another, witnessing in the raw. There is no way around it. That is it. You have to cry your heart out. Your inner child needs to be seen. You've just got to like, because the emotion's meant to flow. So it has to just come out. There's no like way around it. You need to sit and cry for however long. And you need to go smash things that are not going to like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Go hit pillows or something or your bed
Would.
and
Yeah.
just feel the tidal wave of the emotion.
And that's literally what it is. It comes in waves. It's like you will get like this big hit, like a literal wave, and you'll feel and you'll cry and you'll question why. Like, why does this feel so hard? Like, why is this so heavy? Why do I feel so sad? Why do I feel so depressed? It's like go through it, go through it, go through it. Then you're gonna feel exhausted,
Mhm.
but you're gonna have a little bit more space. There's like a little more space on the other side.
Mhm.
And then what I highly recommend in, and I've talked about this before, about going through these stages is to just like let go of the pole and let the tornado take you into it. Because the more that you allow the feelings and everything to take up space, the quicker you're going to alchemize it. And then care for your human, you know, get rest, sleep, nourish your body if you can in any way that feels good. Try to stay hydrated, get into nature if that feels great. If not, whatever feels good and supportive to the human, like that's the most important thing to do in these stages.
Yep. Rest. Like
Yeah.
you can't, well, first of all, when you're in grief, you don't have any energy. So you like have no choice but to rest, and
Yeah.
don't beat yourself up for resting,
Yeah.
because that is your body saying like, I'm burning all of my energy by alchemizing and dealing with these heavy emotions, and your body doesn't have any more energy to go and do whatever like a physical thing it needs to do, and not shame yourself for it.
Yeah. It's huge. I know as a mom, when I go through spaces like this, I will have moments where I feel like everything just comes crashing down and I'll start crying. And sometimes I get really angry and it makes the kids uncomfortable. And they're like, well, like, stop. And I'm just like, no, like, I need to move through this. I need to feel this. Like, I'm allowed to feel this way. So just give me space and allow me to feel this out. And, and like, that's just the way to do it. Like it's challenging. It's challenging when you have children. It just really is. Because you're trying to navigate, you know, their life and their feelings and that kind of stuff too. But give yourself the space that you can. 90 seconds, I think it is, that one emotion hits and it's active. It's like, can you give yourself 90 seconds to bawl your eyes out or scream into your pillow? Just give yourself 90 seconds.
This morning I actually was crying, and it like came out of nowhere, and then I was like, that's it, like it's over. Like I was like, well, where's the rest of it? Like let's just get it all out at once. And it was like maybe like 10 seconds.
Let's just do this.
I'm like, okay, I'm committed, I'm here,
Yeah.
I'm holding myself, let me just cry. And it just was like, nope, I'm good, I just wanted to let that out. And that's the way we're supposed to feel. We
Yeah.
feel like a baby does. We feel, we cry, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Move
And
on.
then it come in another wave.
Yeah.
In afternoon, you'll be making your lunch and all of a sudden you gotta cry again. Like it's so random, but that's why they say grief comes in waves, because it does. And so let's talk about the other three stages of grief. So after the depression, and this is really good that we brought this up, because then Morgan had a little bit of hope that the next step is the upward turn.
Yeah.
Once you go through that heavy emotion, you know, things start to get lighter because you've made room energetically, like you're releasing the weight from the balloon. Then there's the reconstruction and working through, and then acceptance and hope.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And the more that you can, I think my ego really was like, what is happening? Like we have cried for weeks on end. I've been afraid. I've been all of the emotions. And then to experience joy and such enlightenment in life and just be able to be so happy again. And then for it to come out of nowhere, I was like, no, like I don't want that. Like the
Yeah.
resistance of it is where I think a lot of people get stuck in. Like
Yeah.
like you can feel this emotion coming and whatever it has to do with, and now you're resisting. This is when people are like, I'm going to the bar. I'm going to go numb myself. I'm going to go take this. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do anything but feel this. And it's like, you're literally at your crossroads here. This is the pivotal point of transmuting it fully. It's never going to come back. Like once you transmute it, it's transmuted
Permanently.
permanently. Like
Yeah.
this bout that I'm going to go through, however long this will take, I'll never have to go through this point again. I might have a lingering piece still that I still have to, but once, like, this is the beauty of it. Like, we're not just crying and doing all this stuff for fun, guys. Like, the purpose of it is that once it's transmuted and it's gone.
Yeah.
So the being in the crossroads and being like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Yeah, but if you feel it, you never have to go back. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like a no-brainer.
The challenging part is like in the beginning when you know you're slipping into one and you're like, I gotta get rid of this. Like, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna do that. And you can feel yourself slowly slipping into it. And at some point, you're just like, I'm just gonna let myself be in this. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna accept it. And that's the resistance piece too in the beginning, because you're not fully in it. You just feel off,
Yep.
right? It's like, okay, I don't feel like myself.
Yep.
You know? And not knowing why, that's the piece that is really challenging. And that's where Morgan and I become kind of obsessive, because we're like, we just need to get to the root of that. Like, what is causing it?
Yeah. And I mean, it makes logical sense why this is going on. I guarantee if I didn't write that letter, I would have just gone on my merry way, but it would have come to its own crash at some point. And it
Yeah.
would be like, I know that, I know this logically, that if you do not clear out the trash, you cannot have what you desire fully.
Yeah.
I maybe would have had pieces, but I want to experience what I want to experience in my life to the nth degree. Like, I want it to be so fucking amazing that I am bewildered and fascinated with what's in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
And so that you cannot, like I said, we said earlier, and like the balloon, you cannot have the upper part of the emotional scale and the joy and the frequency to its fullest if you do not clear out the gunk. So yeah.
You might get little like boop,
Yeah.
little like dopamine hits here and there, but it's not going to be like
Your full potential
highest self.
and it
Yeah.
will not come online.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm not going to tell anybody to go through grief head on because I'm not a doctor, but as somebody who works with alchemy, I will say it's a very good idea to face your shit head on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
With support, I feel.
absolutely don't do this alone. Like,
Yeah.
have support, have somebody in your corner who understands emotions, who understands how to navigate emotions, who understands the depths of emotions, and most importantly, and people might argue with me and it's okay, but I think it's really important to have somebody in your corner who has done it themselves.
Yeah. Because
Like,
then they,
you know,
Mhm. I agree. And
having,
oh, it's possible too is huge. You can heal from anything that has happened.
you can.
Yep.
I find, I'm not sure if I think, yeah, we've got into this. The amount of like therapists in my life I've seen that have not been through alchemy, or who are like, that they're reading out of a textbook. The discord is so off. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you even talking about? Like, why are we, it doesn't feel fully supportive. I want somebody who's been in the trenches and who can speak to me honestly and be like, these are the tools you're going to use. This is why you're going to use them. And you're safe because here's proof you're safe.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. And I think that some of the offerings that I have in my business can be super supportive. I do mentorship, which is, I would say, the ultimate
Mhm.
for this kind of work, because especially like the highest package, because it entails energy healing as well, which is really good for alchemizing
Yes.
dense and stuck energy, but also just like one-on-one calls,
Mhm.
just like,
You're
yeah.
not. Yeah, it was actually like earlier, I'm like, okay, I got to go to hypnosis. I've got to go do a session to help this piece move itself. in my subconscious and just to release. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and that feels aligned.
Yeah.
And it works so well for you.
So well. So well.
And when you find something that works, like stick with it,
Yeah.
right?
I wanted to ask you today, and now I'm going to make people who are listening, you guys have to do this. This is like right now, stop what you're doing. This is what you have to do. What are 5 things that you're grateful for? This is like random, but these are things I've started to actually work with my clients with. And so I'm going to ask you the questions and
Yeah.
then keep listening, just answer for yourself. So what are 5 things that you're grateful for today?
Right now, sleep,
Okay.
inner peace,
Okay.
nature,
Yes.
um, love,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very tapped in to it today, and support.
Now, what are 5 things you deeply appreciate about yourself?
Mm. Okay. My ability to always see the light,
Hmm.
my psychic gifts. I freaking love my psychic gifts. Um, my willingness to support others,
Hmm.
really something that I'm passionate about. I appreciate the mom that I am to my 2 kids and giving them like all the life tools that I feel that is going to make them like kind, whole, successful people. And my love for nature and animals.
You're making me cry.
Feeling gratitude.
That's so
So
beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
I love these questions. Is that all of the questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask
Okay.
you.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you now. What are 5 things that you are grateful for?
I am grateful for, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I am grateful for this podcast. I'm grateful
Mm,
for our friendship. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm so brave. I am grateful for my animals, and I'm grateful for this time to alchemize my pain.
that is really beautiful.
Yeah.
The time and space to be able to do it.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
And what are 5 things that you appreciate about yourself?
Oh God. I definitely needed to be asked this question because I was just answering it. 5 things I appreciate about myself. My bravery, my empathy for others,
Yeah.
my compassion to always keep going. I don't know if that really makes sense, but that's
Yes.
true. My ability to not accept less than what I know I deserve.
Mm, that was huge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And my desire for greatness.
Beautiful. I love it.
This is wonderful.
And I really appreciate about you that you love to learn. Like you are like a sponge for knowledge. And I love it. I love that about you.
I am always ready to learn.
Yeah.
I I must say I'm learning how to dog train and I feel like a
I know, I loved it. Oh, I loved your story. Oh, that was so good. You're like had one session and now I'm a dog trainer.
well, we passed a dog today and I was like doing all the things. She didn't even flinch towards the other dog. Kept
That is been
I'm like, I am a dog trainer, and if anybody wants to pay me to train their dog, I'm accepting clients.
Oh my goodness, take Sailor.
No, guys, but I
Love
mean,
to come close.
oh,
He is just oh, he's so smart. Like he's too smart for his own good. He's so smart and he's like so he knows, but he just doesn't want to do it.
yeah, he's just like, I have a choice.
Yeah, I get to choose unless you have a treat in your hand. I'm not listening. So it's really fun. It's fun.
I
Yeah.
don't,
The other thing I appreciate about myself is my like level of patience.
yes. I will say something that I deeply appreciate about you
Oh.
is your kindness,
Hmm.
and you are extremely patient. You are,
You.
you are, but
I try.
you're very kind.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You
And
witnessed a couple moments of me losing my patience.
you know what though? You do a lot.
And Morgan, you're like, you were a little spicy.
I have to. Okay, here's something else I appreciate about myself. I always call it like it is.
Yeah,
Always.
so true. Yeah.
Well, I was caught off guard. I was just like, yeah, actually, when I first met you at the brand retreat, I remember because I'm an observer. So I was observing you and I was like, she's got like some fire to her. And I remember feeling that then, but I haven't seen it since. So I
Yeah.
kind of forgot about it. And then when I saw it, I was like, I was right. When I first saw her, I knew it. I knew it. It's like, don't fuck around or you will find out type of energy.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to get there.
Yeah.
Like that's the energy, but it's not like that's not your presence. That's just a part of you, but it's not who you are in as a whole. But when it comes out, like you have like crossed something. And I think it
Yeah.
was
I love that. And it's interesting because I've been learning more about my human design
okay.
and like ways where if you are not living in your highest alignment, like you'll have like a dominant emotion that comes out, and mine is frustration and anger.
Because you're a
And
general. No, you're a Manny Gen.
I'm a Manny Gen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love learning more about myself. It just it makes things make sense,
Yeah. Make
you
it.
know? And it's just yeah, it's just really really empowering. I honestly wish that I could like specialize in human design.
You can.
I would love that would be like maybe one day that I'll go down
You
that
could. I feel like
knowledge.
I have not gone too far because I seem to lose it. I'm like, I've like lost. I feel lost. There's too many options in it. I like one thing that's like, I don't know. It's like one topic and we're going to get really deep into that one topic. But then when there's like 800 topics, my ADHD cannot handle that.
It's a lot. It's like I feel like you would always be learning, but there's this account on Instagram, I think it's called Design by You,
Mhm.
and it is all about the human design. And she does like specific slides for your human design. And I've just been learning by following her.
Okay.
And it's been really supportive. And TikTok, there's tons of it on TikTok too.
We need to have somebody with a human design person on here. Okay.
Sophia,
Huh?
yeah, Sophia.
But does she know? Okay, well, I'll ask her. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. She's and she always tells me, she's like, send it my way. I will tell you anything you need to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
maybe she'll be on again.
Maybe.
That'd
We're
be
gonna do
great.
everything human design. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really a great topic to talk about. Maybe some people don't even know about it.
And if not, Sophia, we are manifesting right now somebody with a human design expert to come in and talk to us. So
Yes, that's beautiful. We
I
would love
actually
that.
now somebody's coming to mind that I know.
Awesome. Okay. So
Okay, thank you for listening.
wait, Morgan,
Yes.
what does an empowered heart mean to you today?
Bravery. What about
Okay.
you?
follow the path of joy. I feel like when you're on it, just keep following the joy.
Yes.
And that's where I'm at right now.
That's so good. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
That's so
I'm
young.
happy for you too. I feel like you are on the brink of the upward.
I hope so. And if not, it's inevitable that I will be.
Yep.
So if it's not today, if it's not tomorrow, it will happen. And I'm not, I mean, it's concerning because it's uncomfortable, but I will be fine.
Yep. And I love you.
I love you too. All right, guys, we will see you next week. And thank you so much for listening.